Every day in state police posts throughout the state, patrols such as this one face an inspecting officer before starting on tours of duty that extend over Michigan's 57,000 square miles. The patrols are organized primarily to combat crime outside the corporate limits of cities. Cars and motorcycles alike are radio equipped, and a call of distress or emergency is flashed to them for attention instantaneously. Protection of motorists on the 68,000 miles of improved Michigan highways has become more and more a definite major responsibility as traffic has increased. 300 men in cars and on motorcycles join daily in an effort to make your journey a safe one. Day and night, they war on the reckless driver and aid the safe driver. Tragedy does not ride the same mile when the trooper is on patrol. The night patrol was a significant forward step in both rural crime control and in night driving safety. There was a time when farmers locked their hen houses with apprehension each night. Will the fowls be there in the morning? While chicken stealing appears to be a petty crime, it isn't petty to the farmer, nor is it petty when huge rings are organized for systematic looting that sometimes took in a single night thousands of chickens from dozens of farms. Chicken stealing is important to the state police because it's mighty important to the farmers who lose them. So, when there is a theft of this type, the trooper investigates the case carefully and has a pretty high average in running down the ones responsible. Roving bands of night marauders struck out at the farmer and the residents of towns and villages. Motorized cattle rustlers became active. Today, the night patrol cruises the main highways and the back roads. Suspicious loads are inspected and questionable night prowlers are checked. When the farmer goes forth at the crack of dawn for the morning chores, he has some assurance his stock will still be there. The night patrol looks over rural gas stations and small stores and watches grain elevators. It is alert for the drunken driver who had turned the highway into an avenue of death and destruction, and is alert for that spot of red in the night sky that tells of a farm fire. A night watchman in a small village was no match for a gang of hoodlums who raided a sleeping community. Suspicious strangers are required to give a satisfactory account of themselves. Michigan's popularity as a resort state may be attributed to the fact that the summer visitor from another state finds state troopers contributing to his pleasure and safety. Touring information is available for every trooper. He might even have a suggestion where the larger trout are hitting. Troopers also maintain a watch over the thousands of camps and resort properties, checking against possible break-ins or storm damage that should be reported to the owner at once. Reports on these inspections, if everything is found in order, is left by the troopers. When the tourist opens his place again, these inspection cards are evidence of a friendly service that is appreciated keenly and reflected in his friends, perhaps, selecting Michigan for their summer outings. While it is Michigan lakes and forests that have spurred the tourist business into an industry netting millions, a contribution to the security and protection of resort investments has become an important factor. Another service involves the safety of families using oil for lamps and stoves. All kerosene is rigidly inspected. Troopers test each car with a flash test. The reading on the thermometer when the flame flickers out indicates whether or not the fuel is a safe product. Troopers assist the State Highway Department in the maintenance of thousands of miles of paved highway by checking traffic to see that two great loads for highway protection are not carried by the thousands of trucks operating over these highways daily. One of the greatest investments of the state is in its highways. Abuse of this common property, intentionally or inadvertently, must be prevented. So a safe load is required in the check of all vehicles. Weighing stations are maintained at regular points for such checks. They also have portable equipment which may appear at the least suspected spot for a surprise checkup. Police courtesy embraces doing the friendly turn for the person in distress. After some help on a tire change, this driver may not feel so bitter if later the trooper gives her a ticket. The troopers take wings. An emergency might require high-speed moving of officers. The state police plane is available. Like the cars they ride, the plane is radio equipped, and as earphones are adjusted, the voice of the dispatcher comes to them from the towers of WRDS. Perhaps they are searching for a killer fleeing in an automobile. The plane sweeps over a vast area, cut into tiny squares by its road system. While cars of a blockade close in, the troopers on wings sight the fleeing car. The transmitter in the plane is snapped on, and a word of the discovery is flashed to the dispatcher. In a period measured in seconds, he barks new instructions to radio cars in the area. The state police work constantly with officers from the Conservation Department. Protection of Michigan's natural resources is indeed an important responsibility. The troopers' patrol duties in the northern counties frequently bring him first to that wisp of smoke that curls up against the sky when a fire in the forest breaks out. Prompt work, and again that shovel training comes in handy, and a disastrous blaze is stopped. Officers on game patrol are on the lookout for the game hog and the hunter whose bag includes maybe a doe or a fawn. For his own protection, and that of the others in the party, troopers are always alert for the hunter who rides with a loaded gun bouncing around in the car. When dangerous criminals go over the wall, the safety of every man, woman, and child in his path are at stake. Troopers, after such an escape, beat the brush for miles in the quest that goes on day and night until the fugitive is apprehended. Assistance from the state police is not confined to rural areas and villages, but extends to larger communities where an emergency taxes local resources beyond their limits. Local police and firemen, working against great odds in this major emergency, were ably assisted by state troopers in saving the lives of those overcome by smoke during a disastrous department store fire. Trapped by the billows of smoke and fumes that were driven ahead of lashing tongues of flame, more than a dozen firemen volunteers were carried from the building. Going in for them made victims of some of the would-be rescuers. State police training schoolwork includes instruction in firefighting and in this type of rescue and first aid work. There's the scream of brakes, the lights of an automobile swish in a mad arc against the blackness of the night. Then a crash, the shatter of broken glass. Other cars zoom down the highway toward the scene. They whirl to this side and that, and occupants crowd curiously around the scene. The stage is set for more crashes as cars bear down out of the night on the congestion. State troopers appear. A lane is opened up. Traffic is moving. The injured are cared for. The driver is questioned. Traffic problems would not exist were it not for traffic accidents. Safety patrols alone will not solve problems presented by accident records because accidents don't just happen. They have specific causes. Trained officers discover these causes through accident investigation at the scene. Records of major accidents must be filed with the state police. Analysis of these records definitely establish the cause behind them. The information is punched on cards. Machines which automatically sort and count the cards under any desired classification yield figures to guide scientific accident prevention. Every time one of these mechanical fingers lifts, a significant fact in connection with an accident is tabulated. And these cards, think of the tragedy behind them. Everyone means one or more persons has either been killed or injured in a traffic accident. Armed with these facts, the highway engineer can correct faults in present-day construction. This information guides the police in enforcement, completing the 3 E's of safety: engineering, education, and enforcement. An accident spot map with a bead-headed pin marking the place where every major accident occurred graphically indicates points for attention. A grouping of these telltale pins at a certain intersection shows need of a warning or stoplight. A grouping at an underpass indicates a condition for the highway engineer to correct. Too close grouping of the pins at a curve indicates an enforcement responsibility or perhaps a dangerous visibility condition. Educational work is viewed as a police responsibility as well. Friendly chats with youngsters of the rural schools on the safe way to cross streets and walk on the road to school pay dividends, as do more formal presentations of the subject in classrooms. Records of every driver in Michigan are on file. When Mr. Driver appears every 3 years for renewal of his driving license, his record is checked. Is the record clean? Have his accidents and his violations over the years been minor ones? If they have, the new license is granted. But has he been in several accidents in which he has been at fault? Has he been guilty of numerous dangerous violations? If that has been the case, denied may be written across his application. The traffic law enforcement policy of the state police is based on the contributory causes of accidents as established by the traffic analysis. Courtesy is the watchword of the uniform division of the state police, but their interpretation of that word means courtesy to the law-abiding person. And it is courtesy to the law-abiding folks of the state to take the law violator off the highway.